Right now, you probably have a tube of toothpaste sitting in your bathroom. You squeeze a little onto your toothbrush, brush for 2 minutes, rinse, and move on with your day without giving it a second thought. It feels so normal that it's hard to imagine life without it. But here's the strange part. For almost all of human history, toothpaste didn't exist. People still cared about their teeth. They just cleaned them with things like crushed animal bones, burnt eggshells, charcoal, oyster shells, salt, herbs, and even powdered brick. And some of those mixtures were so abrasive they slowly sanded away your teeth. Before this tiny invention, humanity had to rely on some surprisingly bizarre recipes just to keep their mouths clean. The question is, what did people use before toothpaste, and how did a messy collection of homemade powders eventually become the minty paste you can't imagine starting your morning without? To answer that, we have to go all the way back to the very beginning. Long before supermarkets, pharmacies, or even written history, humans had a problem. Food got stuck between their teeth. Plaque built up. Gums became infected. Teeth hurt. And unlike today, there was no dentist waiting to fix the problem. Think about that. Archaeologists have discovered tiny grooves on prehistoric human teeth that suggest people were using sharpened sticks, thin bones, or even blades of grass to pick food out from between their teeth. It wasn't exactly dental care. It was simply survival. The funny thing is that ancient people understood something many of us forget today. A painful tooth could ruin your life. Without antibiotics, even a small infection could become deadly. So they experimented. A lot. Thousands of years later, the ancient Egyptians took dental cleaning to a completely different level. Around 5,000 years ago, they created one of the earliest known tooth cleaning powders. Their recipe sounds more like something from a construction site than a bathroom cabinet. Powdered rock salt, dried mint, pepper, and dried iris flowers, ground into a fine powder. It actually cleaned the teeth surprisingly well. The mint freshened the breath. Salt helped remove debris. But there was one tiny problem. It was incredibly rough. Imagine brushing your teeth with very fine sandpaper. Yeah, probably not the most comfortable morning routine. But here's what makes this interesting. The Egyptians weren't trying to make people smile brighter. They believed oral health affected the entire body. Keeping the mouth clean wasn't just about appearance, it was about staying healthy. That idea was thousands of years ahead of its time. Meanwhile, across Asia, people were taking a completely different approach. In ancient China, herbal medicine heavily influenced dental care. Instead of relying only on abrasive powders, people mixed ingredients believed to fight bad breath and disease. Ginseng, mint, salt, herbal extracts. Some mixtures even included tea leaves because they were believed to refresh the mouth. Not every recipe actually worked. But many of the herbs contained natural antibacterial properties, even if the people using them had no idea bacteria even existed. Sometimes history gets lucky. Then came the Greeks and Romans. And things got weird. Roman writers described tooth powders made from crushed oyster shells, charcoal, bark, bones, and pumice stone. Yes, pumice. The same volcanic rock people still use today to smooth rough feet. Imagine rubbing that across your teeth. On purpose. Here's the logic. Hard powders scraped away stains. Cleaner teeth looked healthier. The downside? They also slowly wore away enamel. People solved one problem while creating another. Classic human behavior. The Romans also became obsessed with fresh breath. After all, public speaking, politics, and social gatherings mattered enormously. Nobody wanted to be remembered as the senator with terrible breath. Some recipes included fragrant herbs. Others suggested rinsing with vinegar. And then there was one famous recommendation that's almost impossible to believe. Human urine. Seriously. Fresh urine contains ammonia after breaking down, which can act as a cleaning agent. The Romans even imported urine from certain regions because they believed it worked better. I'll let that sink in. Suddenly mint toothpaste sounds pretty amazing. But here's the thing. Despite all these strange recipes, very few people had what we'd call healthy teeth. Sugar was becoming more common. Medical knowledge remained limited. Painful tooth decay was everywhere. For centuries, people simply accepted that losing teeth was part of growing older. Then the Middle Ages arrived. And surprisingly, not everything got worse. Across the Islamic world, people widely used something called the Miswak, a chewing stick cut from a Salvadora persica tree. Instead of toothpaste, the end of the stick was chewed until it became soft and brush-like. Then it was used to clean the teeth. Modern scientific studies have shown that Miswak naturally contains antibacterial compounds, fluoride, silica, and other minerals that actually help oral health. In other words, this ancient tool genuinely worked. Sometimes the oldest solutions survive because they're simply good ideas. Meanwhile, in Europe, dental care remained a mixture of folk remedies and superstition. People rubbed sage on their teeth. They chewed aromatic herbs. They used salt, charcoal, sometimes even honey mixed with strange powders. There was no universal recipe. Every region had its own version. Every family had its own tradition. And nobody really knew which one was best. Here's what makes this so important. Toothpaste wasn't just about cleaner teeth. It represented one of humanity's biggest shifts in understanding disease. For most of history, people believed bad smells caused illness, or that tooth decay came from mysterious toothworms. Yes, toothworms. Many cultures genuinely believed tiny worms burrowed into teeth and caused cavities. It sounds ridiculous today, but without microscopes, it actually seemed like a reasonable explanation. Everything changed during the scientific revolution. As chemistry improved, as medicine advanced, as scientists began studying microorganisms, people slowly realized that tiny invisible organisms, not worms, not curses, not bad luck, played a huge role in disease. That changed everything. In the late 1700s and early 1800s, tooth powders became much more standardized. Manufacturers packaged mixtures instead of relying entirely on homemade recipes. Common ingredients included chalk, soap, charcoal, powdered calcium compounds. Some products worked. Others tasted awful. A few probably made people question their life choices. Then came one surprisingly important invention: the collapsible toothpaste tube. Before that, toothpaste was often stored in jars. Everyone dipped their brush into the same container. You can probably see the hygiene problem. In 1892, American dentist Dr. Washington Sheffield introduced toothpaste packaged inside collapsible metal tubes inspired by paint tubes. Suddenly, toothpaste became cleaner, easier to carry, and much more convenient. Sometimes changing the package changes everything. The 20th century transformed toothpaste from a luxury into an everyday necessity. Scientists discovered the importance of fluoride in preventing cavities. Manufacturers improved flavors. Mint became the standard. Advertising encouraged families to brush every day. Schools promoted oral hygiene. Dentists became far more common. Something remarkable happened. People started keeping their teeth for much longer. That had enormous consequences. Better nutrition. Better health. Greater confidence. Longer life expectancy with natural teeth. A tiny tube sitting beside your sink quietly improved millions of lives. Think about that. Today, toothpaste does far more than simply clean. Some formulas strengthen enamel. Others reduce sensitivity. Some whiten teeth. Others protect gums. There are toothpastes designed for children, smokers, braces, dry mouth, and nearly every dental problem imaginable. And yet every single tube traces its ancestry back to those ancient powders made from crushed minerals, herbs, ashes, and shells. Quite a journey. So here's the full picture. Humanity begins with sticks, bones, and blades of grass. Ancient Egyptians grind salt, mint, and flowers into rough cleaning powders. Chinese herbal mixtures bring natural medicine into oral care. Greeks and Romans experiment with everything from oyster shells to volcanic rock, and yes, even urine. The Islamic world perfects the remarkably effective miswak. Europe spends centuries mixing homemade remedies while believing in imaginary toothworms. Scientists finally uncover the real causes of tooth decay. Manufacturers create standardized tooth powders. A simple metal tube makes toothpaste practical for everyone. Fluoride turns brushing into one of the greatest public health habits in history. And now, tomorrow morning, when you squeeze a little minty paste onto your toothbrush, you're taking part in a story that stretches back thousands of years. Thankfully, without the powdered brick. Or the pumice. Or the Roman mouthwash. It's funny how some of humanity's greatest achievements aren't towering monuments or groundbreaking machines. Sometimes they're the small inventions that quietly make everyday life cleaner, healthier, and just a little more comfortable. Toothpaste is one of those inventions. We barely notice it until we imagine living without it. If you learned something new today, maybe leave a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.